Welcome back, Cat 37 class, CATIA surfacing. I'm going to give you some examples of student projects that have been turned in the last 5 years, and also I will give you some ideas of what I expect to see for your final project. But first, let's go to the syllabus. Okay, so let's look at the assignments. Okay, so we spent the first week, I know this is out of order. We spent the first week on the impeller, second week on the box handout, third week on wireframe, lines, points, splines, planes, etc. Fourth week on surfaces, so creating swept surfaces, multi-section loft surfaces, etc. And then we're going to do for the fifth week operations. Okay, so fifth week will be operations. That'll be fillets, joining surfaces, trimming surfaces. Okay, so after this fifth week, you should have 3 weeks to work on your final project. So I don't expect some of you to have all 3 weeks to work on your final project. Some of you may be behind on your assignments, so I expect at least for you to spend at least 10 hours on your final project. Okay, some of you will spend about 10 hours, some of you maybe a whole weekend, maybe 16 hours. Okay, so hopefully I'll see at least 10 hours worth of work for your final project. Okay, so let's take a look at some ideas for surfacing. Okay, so when it comes to your project, I'm going to first show you some examples, and then I'll show you some student projects that were turned in the past few years. Okay, so we want to look at something futuristic, maybe ergonomic, organic, or conceptual, or a combination of all or some of them. Okay, so simple example is this chair, right? So these are just pictures that I got from the internet. Okay, so anybody can model up a simple rectangular looking chair, but something with a lot of shape. This is not easy to do, so some of you may want to take on a challenge of creating this ergonomic with compound surfaces. So compound surface is when you're going in one direction, then it turns, and then it turns back again. Okay, so this is referred to as a compound surface, changes direction. Okay, not only in this direction, but also in this direction. It's curving in, then it's curving out, and curving back in. Okay, so these are referred to as compound surfaces. Okay, so here's another example. Again, this is stuff that I just found on the internet. Something ergonomic. The legs are pretty simple, straightforward, but the shape is not easy. Okay. Next one. Maybe you want to do something automotive related. I'm hoping you guys find something that you're passionate about, whether it's automotive or maybe a futuristic city or futuristic housing. Maybe some of you are into motorcycles or maybe superheroes or Star Wars. Okay, so something related to something you have a passion for. So hopefully that'll motivate you to spend the hours to generate a surface. And I don't expect to see a lot of details. Again, this is just something I found on the internet. Just get the basic shape of your project. The details, you can spend weeks on the details. Okay. Okay, something simple as a mouse. Again, a mouse is ergonomic, a lot of compound surfaces, right? This is not easy to model. Okay, so here's a very simple example of something I expect to see for your final project. Let's look at another one. Those of you that are into gaming, you want to create your own control. Okay, notice there's hardly any simple shapes like rectangular, cylindrical shapes, very ergonomic, right? You want this to be comfortable in your hand or hands, right? Other than the buttons, the rest of it has a very ergonomic shape. Okay, so this is what I chose when I first did my final project back in 2005 as a student. Okay, so I had this radio that I used for outdoors, right? So it's an old radio, Sony radio. So here are some of the pictures I found on the internet of what this radio looks like also. Okay, so this is meant to be out on a boat or at the beach, right? It can handle a little bit of water, not too much, obviously, some sprinkles maybe of water. Okay, so an old radio with a disc player, yes, disc player, an MP3 capability. Okay, so these are just pictures I found on the internet. I actually have this in the office also here on campus to use as an example of what I expect. Notice this is hardly any simple shapes. There's no rectangular shapes other than the buttons that are cylindrical in shape, or I should say spherical in shape. Everything else has a lot of shape to it, right? Okay, so let me show you that one. Okay, so this is what I created. And I must have spent at least 20 hours working on this. Okay, a lot of the buttons are missing, but I just wanted to show you just the basic shape of what I modeled when I was a student back in 2005. And this was the final project I chose. And actually the instructor liked it because it met the requirements. We had surfaces going in different directions and also in this direction also. Okay, and just to show you what's in the background, this is all the geometry that it took to create that. Okay, so a lot of it got trimmed off, joined, for example, but this is all the geometry that it took to create the final product. All right, so hopefully you'll find something like this. Good example is also a cowboy hat or cowgirl hat, right? It's a good example. It's not a simple shape. It's not easy to create. And I do want to give you a warning. You will get frustrated. Okay, so you're going to be trying to create a surface and you're going to keep getting error messages. Right? You're going to try and fill a surface in one area and you'll keep getting error messages. So you have to try a different approach. Maybe a swept surface doesn't work. Maybe you're trying multi-section lofting or fill. Try different commands. If one doesn't work, try a different one. Okay. Revolute, that's how I created these surfaces here. I used the revolute command, right? All right, so let's go back to the lecture. Okay, more examples. Okay, I've had students in the past that were into motorcycles. Hey, teacher, I want to create my own motorcycle backpack. Okay, so pick something that you're passionate, you have a lot of passion for, right? Motorcycles, cars, interior design, superheroes, Star Wars, etc., comic book heroes. Something futuristic. Actually, one student did attempt this one, and I'll show it to you. Okay, and again, we're just going for the basic shape. Even after you finish this class and the semester's over, maybe later on, if you have time, you want to go ahead and add more details to it. So all I'm expecting is a basic shape. And hopefully, if you have the time, some free time during the summer, once this class is over, that you can go back and keep adding details to practice your surfacing. Okay, maybe again, you're into motorcycles, right? Get the basic shape. Again, this is not easy. And by the way, we're doing generative shape design, workbench, module, app, whatever you want to call it. I will allow you to use the Sketcher feature. So you do have Sketcher in the generative shape design workbench. And the last few weeks, I'm going to talk about Freestyle Workbench, where you can freely shape the surface by just pulling on it. And you can do a combination of generative shape design workbench and Freestyle. Okay. And you can also use Sketcher if you like. Again, something futuristic. Okay, here it is, something that's not rectangular or squared, right? So I don't know, maybe some Fred Flintstone looking type of home, futuristic home for the Flintstones, right? Okay, notice no rectangular shapes, no cylindrical shapes, ergonomic, futuristic. This is not easy to model. Okay, those of you that want to get into movie characters or superheroes, hey, try something like this. It's not that easy. Okay, so yeah, there are some squared areas. That's okay, but it also has a lot of surfacing. Those of you that are into Star Wars, Maybe you want to make a Star Wars motorcycle helmet as an example, right? Again, something else futuristic. Ergonomic, right? Almost looks like a mouse for your computer combined with a trike. Okay, something futuristic. You can just go on the internet and Google conceptual, ergonomic, futuristic, and you'll get some type of pictures like the ones I'm showing you. Okay, once again, ergonomic, futuristic, a lot of surfacing, right? This is not easy to model. Okay, that's the last example. All right, so now I'm going to show you some student work. Okay, so this is the one I did. Let me show you some examples of work that students have turned in the last 5 years. Not all of them submitted their work. A lot of them just showed it to me. So some of them did provide me with their files. Okay, so this student was doing a vehicle. Even though it's incomplete, you can still get full credit. Okay, so obviously this student didn't complete the work, but you can still get full credit. 90% of the students, at least 90% of the class will get full credit for the assignment, 300 out of 300 points. Okay. Let's go to another one. Again, if you want to create a helmet. Okay, so this student created a helmet. Let me turn off I was going to turn off all planes, but that's okay. We can leave them on. All right, so one critique I do have about this is you should do it in a geometric set. If you do your surfacing and wireframe in a part body, you're going to regret it later on because you're not going to be able to move things out of order. In a geo set, you can move things out of order. In a part body, it forces you to keep everything as a family tree, right? Forces you to keep structure. In a geo set, you can move things out of order, which can be helpful later on when you're making changes. Okay, so that's a helmet. Okay, another student decided to make a soccer ball. Pretty cool, right? Okay, another critique is don't put your geometry in a part body. And let's go into the background so you can see the geometry that it took to create this soccer ball. Student did a really good job. And you can even Google, you can or go to YouTube and go and look for CATIA surfacing examples, and you can encounter examples like this one. So this student did a really good job even with the colors. See how colors make a big difference? Looks like leather, right? Looks worn. Doesn't look worn, but it looks like it's been exposed to the elements or to the sunlight. Okay, so color makes a big difference. Okay, somebody really got into it. As you can see, a Porsche 911 G3 GT3 RSR. I'm not familiar with those Porsches, but there it is. Okay, so this student really got into it. Look at all the wireframe in the background. Okay, so this student used color, makes it easier. When you use color, it's easier to see versus the white wireframe. You might want to use different color like they did here, like you can use like magenta, yellow, cyan, etc. And I'll be later on also providing YouTube video links for something similar, maybe not exactly like this one, of how somebody modeled their surfaces. You know, this here is not really good, but again, because of the time frame, this student did a really good job. You know, if I was to critique one area, the surfacing here doesn't transition very well, but that's okay. Considering the time that was given, the student did a good job. Okay. Oh, I'm going to use this later on for a separate lecture on how to insert pictures. can actually insert pictures of the car, like a side view, top view, but I'll explain that in a separate video on how to insert pictures into CATIA to help you guide you along to create your project. Here's another example of a helmet, and let's go into the background so you can see the geometry that it took to create the helmet. Okay, and add some color, it'll make a big difference. And again, another critique, try and use geosets. Okay, actually that's the same one we were just looking at. Oh, so this student did add color at the assembly level. So it's the same helmet we were just looking at. So it's inside an assembly. Didn't need to be inside of an assembly, but it does make it easier later if you're inserting pictures. You need to be in an assembly to be able to insert a picture of a project you're working on. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Oh, so same student from the earlier project, and this is also in an assembly. And there are actually pictures on this one, but I can tell because of the stickers. You can stick pictures on flat surfaces or a plane. Let me see if I can turn on the pictures on this one. I was hoping we could see the pictures. I don't have the right option turned on, but I'll walk you through that later on. I may even come back to this student example. Okay, let's move on. Oh, this one's incomplete. Okay, it looks like the student started the project, but maybe didn't finish it. Looks like it's not the final project, but there's a lot of work back there. Okay, this one's incomplete. Okay, we already saw this one. Okay, so here we have a bottle, right? Not easy to model up. Oh, it even has a groove. Rectangular groove in there. Again, try and add some color. And in the background, here we have the geometry that it took to create this bottle, right? Let's go on to the next one. Okay, another vehicle, right? It's incomplete, but you can appreciate the amount of work the student spent on this one. Okay, so once again, even if your project is incomplete, so this is another Porsche. Okay, it's incomplete, but students still got the full credit. In the background, you can see all the supporting geometry in the background. Okay, on to the next one. Another Porsche. Okay, students seem to like Porsche. Okay, notice how the color makes a big difference. We can even turn on more lights, view lighting, so we can appreciate the color. And we can turn on neon lights. So if you're working in a car studio, you would actually so you would have a team of designers. So they may be critiquing the interior or the exterior. So you'll have like a team of designers, whether it's using CATIA surfacing or Alias, ALIAS. And typically you'll stand in front of a large screen the size of a wall, right? Okay, so we'll be in the office and they'll project lighting onto the model. And again, typically a group of maybe 10 or a dozen engineers that have worked on the surfacing, and everybody did their part. Okay, so they'll reflect lights off of it. So the supervisors of styling and digital styling will take a look at your model, and they'll reflect lights, right? They want to see how the lights reflect. So here they don't want to see a break in the reflection, for example. So it's not a smooth transition from one surface to another. First thing that we teach the interns in a car studio is how to create the rooftop, windshield, and the rear part of the car and the hood of the vehicle. Okay, and this takes hours and hours. We're talking about hundreds of hours to practice to get good at this. Okay, so this is pretty good for a project, for a short class like this one. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and move on to the next one. Oh, Iron Man. A lot of students are liking this project. So if you go to YouTube and do a search on YouTube, Iron Man surfacing or CATIA surfacing, there's actually quite a few YouTube videos on how to create the Iron Man mask. Notice how the color just makes a big difference, right? So there are YouTube videos on how to create the Iron Man mask, and they use a combination of generative shape design, right? Generative shape design and freestyle. Okay, so let's take a look at the background so you can see all the geometry that it took to create this project. Okay, so some of you may want to go into the superhero route, right? So again, hopefully something that you're passionate for and are willing to spend hours and hours to create all these surfaces. Okay. Okay, those of you that like aerospace, right? Okay, and let's take a look at the background. Okay, something I did want to bring up. This is very useful. See the surface here? Okay, so the student used a foil for the wing, an airfoil, to define their wing. Notice it's smaller at the tip. So this is the wing airfoil at the tip, and the one towards the root or the torque box area. There it is. So it's just like your arm. Your arm shoulder is wider and it tapers as you go down to your fingertips. Okay, surface like this. So in this case, the student used multi-section lofting to create that surface. One that is very a lot more user-friendly to use is blend. Okay, so if you go to blend command, you can do a blend between the two airfoils, and it'll get you a nice, smooth, ruled surface. Nice, straight surface. Sometimes the multi-section loft or sweep can bubble outward in some areas. So blend is a good one, even though you think of blending surfaces, but you can also generate a surface without having to connect other surfaces. Okay, let's go on to another one. Notice the student did a good job of using geometric sets. Okay, those of you that are into motorcycles, so even though this is incomplete, there's a pretty cool Ducati, right? Okay, look at the student, did a good job of setting up their geosets. Let's take a look at the background. By the way, the reason for these surfaces is for inserting pictures. And I'm not able to turn on the pictures. Let me see. It's a good chance I need the picture. Yeah, I'm not able to see the pictures. So this student must have inserted pictures of the Ducati from the side view, the front view, and top view to accurately get the shape of this Ducati motorcycle. Fortunately, I can't turn on the pictures. In order to see the pictures, I would have to also get that file. Anytime you attach a picture to a flat surface, planar surface, if you transfer that file to your flash drive or desktop, you should also transfer the PDF file or JPEG or PNG file with the picture. That's probably the reason I can't see the pictures. I don't have the files of the pictures. All right, so let's move on. So once again, I'm just hoping you find something that you're passionate for. There's that seat, right? That ergonomic seat. Okay, so just like in the lecture, go back to the first one. Our second slide, there it is, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to create a shape like this. You prefer to be able to do it in a few patches or a few sweeps. Okay, so this looks something very futuristic, right? Almost like a lazy boy seat. Right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so here we have a bottle. And it looks like this student did some revolve and some fill command and maybe even lofting. Right? Did a good job of using, once again, geosets. You want to keep organized. Notice the student did use Sketcher. So I am going to allow sketches in your final project. I did not allow sketches in the impeller handout or the box handout, right? But I will allow sketches in your final project. I use sketches when I do my surfacing sometimes, okay? So here we have a teapot. Okay, some of the supporting geometry. Okay, so those of you that are into gaming, right? This is not easy to create. And again, it's not complete. It's missing a few features for this controller. Okay, but the student did a good job, did all the geosets, as you can see, stay organized. Here's that futuristic drone looking example that I showed you. There it is, right? Not exact, but pretty close to it. Okay, an old school vehicle, right? It's a classic. Look at the light reflection. Actually, the light here reflects very well. Actually, I'm impressed with the light reflection at the top. Let me turn on the neon lights. View lighting. Neon lights. Ooh, it looks good. Wow, this student did a really good job. Look at the reflection lines. That's not easy to do, all right? So once again, when I worked in studio departments, anytime we get new interns or new hires, even including me when I first started as a new hire, they'll have you practice creating rooftops, windshields. Now, some of it is not perfect here in this area, but it's still good. The lines are connected. That's a really good job. This is one of the tough areas to actually create around the wheel well. Okay, and look at the way how clean these lines reflect. The student did a really good job in creating these surfaces. All right, let's go to the background. You can see the supporting geometry that it took to create that vehicle. Okay, so I'll leave it up to you how far you want to take it. Some students will probably only do like the front end of a vehicle and really get into a lot of detail. So you don't have to complete the entire vehicle. If you just want to focus on one area, that's good enough. Okay, this one's incomplete. Student didn't finish this project. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Oh, I will go over this one. So this is an example of how I showed how I did the lofting for a small aircraft, a two-seater aircraft. Well, you have the option for 4 seats. Okay, so notice I used a lot of sketches, a lot of swept surfaces, extrude, combine, scaling. Okay, so this is the windshield area and this is the fuselage area. So this is the lofting that I did using conic sweep. I haven't gone over conic sweeps. If I double click on this one, this sweep, I believe it's conic. Yep, there it is. So this is a conic sweep, and I will demonstrate conic sweeps in a later video towards the end. Okay, cancel. All right, I'll come back to this one in a later video. Okay, another example of a student project. Let's go to the background. You can see the work that it took to create this helicopter. All right, let's go on to the next one. Now this looks simple, but it's not. So this is just a spoon. Forget the type of spoon this is, but look at the shaping. This is not easy to create. It looks simple, but it's not easy. Okay, it's actually hollow on the inside and solid here in this area. Okay, let's go into the background. So you can see all the geometry that it took to create this spoon. Okay, if it was a flat, straight spoon, then it would be easy, but something with curvature is not that easy to model. Okay, so this was a tough area here where the handle connects to the scooping area, right? Okay, this is not easy to create. Okay, these areas here are pretty straightforward, but the handle is where the challenge is at, right? The handle is where you have most of the complex surfacing. Okay, so the grip is the area that's the toughest area. The others are pretty straight, simple geometry, but the handle can be challenging, and did a good job with using geosets. Okay, let's go on to the next one. And again, those of you that are into motorcycles or helmets or superheroes or a combination of Star Wars and helmets, right? Again, color makes a big difference. Let's go into the background. You can see all the supporting geometry that it took to create this. Okay, did a good job with all the geosets, staying organized. You want to stay organized with your geometric sets because sometimes you want to go back to a certain sketch or wireframe, and it's just a lot easier to find it when you have everything labeled. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Baseball helmet, right? Dodger fans. So there's a Dodger helmet, batting helmet, right? Okay, and there's the geometry that it took to create it. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so Wolverine mask or helmet, right? And I'm pretty sure if you do a search on YouTube, look for a surfacing. If you do CATIA surfacing, car surfacing, you're going to find a lot of YouTube videos on surfacing. Okay, look at all the supporting geometry in the background. Okay, if you would add a little bit of color, it would lighten it up. And once again, avoid doing all your work in a part body. I'm not going to take points off if you don't do it in a geo set, but just a warning, if you do get a job doing CATIA surfacing, you want to do it in geo sets, geometrical sets. Okay, so here we have, oh, I forgot the name of this aircraft. Okay, so you can see the student spent a lot of time creating the surfaces here. All right, and very organized with the geosets. Good job on this one. Okay, another aircraft. So this is something you might see in Transformers, right? Okay, I forgot which aircraft this was. The student was modeling. Got very creative with the colors, right? Spider drone. Okay, here it is. Futuristic spider drone. Even labeled it. Okay, so spider drone aircraft. All right, let's go on to the next one. Good job with the geosets and the colors. Okay, another ergonomic seat. All right. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to model something like this. Anybody can do a cylinder or rectangular or triangular shape. It's when it's has some complex surfacing that makes it difficult. Not anybody can do this, and it takes a lot of patience. Okay, this is an appliance, an Omega home appliance. I forget what this appliance does, but you can see the curvature and the surfacing that it took to create this home appliance. Again, I forgot the name. It's an Omega appliance, but I forgot what this does. Don't remember. See the handle, carry it around the house. Okay, another vehicle. Okay, it makes a big difference when you add color. Lightens it up. Go to the background. You can see all the geometry, supporting geometry in the background. Good job of the geosets. By the way, see all the planes? I can say, hey, go to view. There's all these planes that were left on, which is okay. Okay, I'm going to go to view. Maybe I'm in the wrong part. Tools. I'm going to go to tools, hide. Hey, I want to hide all curves or all planes, hide all planes. Ta-da. Hey, go back, tools. Actually, there's something I forgot to teach these students back then to help them clean up their models. Hide all curves. 3, 2, 1, hide all curves. And let's go hide all points, tools. Hide all points. Let's clean it up, right? I'm guessing this is a sketch. Tools, hide all sketches. Yep, there it is. Cleans it up. A lot better, right? Okay, so there we go with the racing car. And this is a stapler that I have. My mistake, a hole puncher, a 3-hole puncher that we have in the classroom. Actually, currently I have it in the office. Okay, so this is a 3-hole puncher. So a student was looking for a project and said, hey, can I borrow the hole puncher and do the surfacing? Okay, go for it. Okay, so the punchers or the cylinders would be here, here, and here. And you push on this handle to punch the holes through the sheets of paper. All right, so let's go on to the next one. And again, good job of geosets. Here we have another helmet. Okay, another helmet. Let's go into the background. Look at all the geometry that it took to complete it. And again, I suggest you add some color, makes a big difference. Go on to the next one. Okay, let's see what's here. Oh, there you go. Is this another Porsche, Bugatti, Lamborghini? I have no clue. A Corvette? I have no idea. All right, so this student did a really good job. And I can tell by the way the light reflects. So once again, if you are in a car studio department where they have the clay models and then you recreate the surfaces from the digitized clay models, you will put this on a big screen the size of a wall, an office wall. They'll project it onto a screen and everybody will take a look at it and look at the lighting. Let's go to view, lighting, and they will turn on the neon lights because they want to see how the lights reflect off of the surfaces. Okay, as you can see the top, wow, this is a really good job. So this is the type of quality you would see in a studio department when it comes to light reflections. Maybe not so much in some of these areas here, but I mean for something like this, created in a few weeks, limited time, student did a really good job. And again, add some color, makes a big difference. Okay, there's the supporting geometry. And by the way, there's a lot of videos on YouTube on how to do surfacing for a vehicle, and I will send you a few links to those videos in a separate YouTube video. And I will also show you how to insert pictures so you can follow along. All right, next one. And here we have a partial fuselage, right? Partial fuselage. I forget which aircraft this is. Looks like a military aircraft. So even if it's not complete, it's okay. You'll still get the full credit. Obviously, the students spent a lot of time creating the surfaces. Let's go into the background. You can see all the work that it took to generate the final surface, even though it's just a partial fuselage. Good job. Everything's organized in geometric sets. Okay, so that's it. All right, so once again, look for something futuristic, ergonomic, organic, conceptual. So if you do a Google search for pictures with these keywords or a combination of these words, hopefully you'll find something. Or maybe you already have something in mind, or maybe again you have a passion for motorcycles, interior design, architecture, passion for automotive, motorcycles. Just to show you a few examples of CATIA architecture for those of you that maybe are interested. Not connected to the internet. All right, so I was going to show you one of the CAD instructors here did the surfacing for the Walt Disney Concert Hall here in LA. So if you want to do a search on that one, the Walt Disney Concert Hall in LA, architect is Frank Gehry, and one of our CAD instructors here at the college was hired to do the modeling. Okay, so because it was such a complex project, it was done in CATIA, even though CATIA was mostly used in aerospace and automotive. Some of the tougher surfacing in architecture has used CATIA. Also, for another example is for I believe it was the Beijing Olympics, the stadium, the Nest. So if you go and do a search on the Nest Stadium for the Olympics, and also the cube for the swimming competitions for the Olympics, also I believe was also done in CATIA. Okay, so there's a lot of cool projects, a lot of cool buildings done in CATIA surfacing and CATIA part design and assembly. All right, so hopefully this will give you a good idea of what I'm looking for a project, and again, hopefully something you have a passion for. And again, you don't have to complete the project to get full credit, but I do hope that later on, even after this class is over with, it's something you'll go back to and try and improve on your surfacing and wireframe practice using CATIA. All right, end of video.